Welcome to Zero Tackle Hard Knocks, where we'll ask the biggest questions for each team each week. We are fresh off of round 9, so let's kick it off with: can the Broncos be successful without Adam Reynolds? Maybe. Veteran Broncos halfback Adam Reynolds will miss the next 3 months with a ruptured bicep in a devastating blow for the Broncos. Coach Kevin Walters is confident his club have the depth to keep winning games, but there really is no replacing Reynolds' experience and control. Jock Madden has an enormous job in front of him if the Broncos are to win enough games between now and when Reynolds returns to be at the pointy end of the competition. Can KO Week save Canberra's season? Last week, we asked whether Canberra's finals chances have been extinguished. For a good 50 minutes against the Sea Eagles, it looked like that's exactly what had happened with Jamal Fogarty's injury. But then things turned. Canberra scored 4 unanswered tries against the Sea Eagles to win a thriller, with KO Weeks, Fogarty's replacement, leading the way in attack with both running and kicking games. He may well be the key to saving the season. Can the Bulldogs hang on to their top 8 spot? Here's a sentence we bet you can't remember the last time you heard. The Canterbury Bulldogs have won 3 of their last 4 and sit in the top 8. 2 of those wins on either side of the bye may be against the Knights and Tigers, but the Bulldogs are playing better football than they have in years. There's a long way to go, but the signs are more positive than maybe anyone would have tipped during the preseason. Are the Sharks premiership contenders or pretenders? The Sharks have proven themselves as a top 8 certainty over the first 2 months of action, despite their latest win over the Dragons on Sunday being in one of the more ordinary games you'll witness. What comes next, though, is a torture test. The Storm away, the Roosters, the Panthers, the Eels, and then Brisbane in Brisbane. Emerge from that with 3 or 4 wins, and it'll be time to start taking the Sharks very seriously. Should the Titans let David Fifita go? Speculation emerged on Sunday evening that Fifita will meet with the Penrith Panthers this week as he continues to weigh up his future. The issue for the Titans is this: Fifita has now been linked with a move away from the club over contract clauses on 3 separate occasions, and the club pay an almighty amount of money for forwards between Fifita and their injured captain Tino. In terms of squad balance, one of them leaving may be for the best. Can the Sea Eagles find any consistency? We know what you're thinking. Consistency is an overused buzzword that means nothing. But try telling that to Anthony Seibold and his players. Round 4, they lost to the Dragons in a horrible performance. Round 5, they beat the Panthers. Round 6, they drew with the Warriors. And since then, conceded 30 points against the Titans, but still won. Found themselves miles behind against the Eels before coming back, and then squandered a lead against the Raiders. The glimpses of a strong side are there, but they need to find a way to do it week in, week out. Not for 20 or 30 minutes at a time. How do the Storm play Su'a-Fa'alogo full time? If there's one player anywhere in this competition that needs to be playing more minutes, it's Su'a-Fa'alogo. Despite only playing 52 minutes on Saturday against the Titans, he was excellent on the wing. For the next month or so, he'll take the number 1 jersey from Ryan Papenhuyzen, who's injured, but after that, Craig Bellamy needs to find a way to get him into the side. Whether that's on the bench or maybe on Will Warbrick's wing, it has to happen. Are the halves now locked in? The Knights chopped and changed their halves during the first 7 rounds, but have now had 2 wins in a row with a combination of Tyson Gamble and Jackson Hastings. That leaves Jack Cogger on the outside looking in, but they have certainly looked a better football side over the last 2 weeks despite only narrow wins. Coach Adam O'Brien simply needs to pick and stick, and now is that time. Where to next for the Warriors? It's hard to put your finger on exactly what is going wrong with the Warriors. They've had 3 losses and a draw in their last 4 games and look an absolute shell of the team who made a preliminary final last season. Changes may help throughout the side, but it looks deeper than that. A mixing pot of inconsistency, lack of effort and energy, and little attention to detail. The Roosters and Panthers in the next 2 games won't make things any easier either. Can the Cowboys improve their edge defensive decision making? All 5 of the tries conceded by the Cowboys against the Dolphins on Saturday came on the edges, with only 1 off a kick. Jermaine Osako had a field day crossing for a hat-trick, but it was certainly helped by poor defensive decision-making from the Cowboys. On more than one occasion, there looked to be a real lack of trust in teammates, particularly from Valentine Holmes. Does Gutherson's injury push Parramatta past the point of no return? Clint Gutherson's ankle injury with a 4 to 5 week recovery means he joins halfback Mitchell Moses on the sidelines in the coming week, with an already struggling Eels side now needing to find a way to win without their 2 biggest stars. Unfortunately for the Blue and Gold, they have already lost 5 of 8 this season, and another bad run in the coming weeks could leave their finals chances dead and buried. Has Dylan Edwards done enough to win a Blues jersey? This question could be asked time and time again over the coming weeks. Edwards has been the game's most consistent fullback over the last couple of years, and yet will still have to battle incumbent James Tedesco for the Blues' #1 jersey. Edwards was fantastic again against the Rabbitohs on Thursday, and while he has a vastly different skill set to Tedesco, surely Blues coach Michael Maguire is on the fence. Is it time for the return of the loan system? This doesn't apply only to the Rabbitohs, but right now they are most in need of reinforcements. South Sydney have a staggering injury list, which Cameron Murray, Jai Gray and Dean Hawkins were added to over the weekend. They get Latrell Mitchell and maybe Alex Johnson back this weekend, but still have about a dozen players on the shelf, while languishing at the bottom of the table. So, they could do with the ability to raid fringe first graders at other clubs. What happened to the Dragons' middle third defence? The Dragons were always going to have an at best inconsistent 2024 season, but for all the progress they have made in the opening weeks, a lot of it has been undone in the last fortnight. Conceding 60 against the Roosters last week, they then started Sunday's miserable contest with the Sharks by letting Oregon Kaufusi stroll over next to the post, and later Tom Hazelton do the same thing. Shane Flanagan has a long way to go with this side. Is Angus Crichton an Origin smoky? Once upon a time, Angus Crichton was a walk-up Origin starter for the Blues. A talented second rower, his last couple of years have brought plenty of challenges. His return to form in 2024, though, has been one of the competition's good news stories, with the Roosters making more than 100 metres in each of his last 5 games to go with a combined 23 tackle busts. The Blues don't have a shortage of second rowers, but Crichton will be tough to overlook in this form given his history in Sky Blue. Can Jermaine Asako be the NRL's top point scorer again? Asako sits with 78 points to his name at the end of round 9, just 4 points off of leaders Valentine Holmes and Ruben Garrick. It's a race that will gain more attention towards the back end of the season, but Asako won the award from a side in the bottom half of the ladder last year. With the Dolphins winning more this time around, he could well take out the award 2 years in a row. Is there any player in the NRL more important than Api Coruscant? The Tigers had to do things the hard way on Saturday against the Bulldogs without Api Coruscant. The start dummy half was ruled out and the Tigers went on to lose 22-14. That's not to say they win all their games with Coruscant, but the difference in the way the club played at both ends of the park was a fairly obvious one. Those are our hard knocks leading into round 10. Have you got the answers? Let us know what you think in the comments, or have you got an even harder knock for your club? Hit the subscribe button and don't forget to catch all the latest NRL news at zerotackle.com, the #1 NRL independent news source.